Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Hello, good Sunday evening, folks. Thank you for closing out your weekend with us. I'm Dustin Klemann. President Trump returned to the White House today from a weekend retreat at Camp David. He met with cabinet members, military officials, and congressional Republican leaders. The president also spent some time bashing a new best-selling book about him and his administration. Here's Errol Barnett.
Mr. President, why focus on the Fire and Fury book if it's fiction? Returning from Camp David, President Trump avoided questions about his response to a scathing book, suggesting several White House staffers doubt his intelligence. This morning, Mr. Trump lamented he has had to put up with a fake book written by a totally discredited author.
The author is a garbage author of a garbage book.
Senior advisor Stephen Miller echoed Mr. Trump in denouncing comments made by former chief strategist Steve Bannon in Fire and Fury.
It's tragic and unfortunate that Steve would make these grotesque comments so out of touch with reality and obviously so vindictive.
Today, Bannon released this statement saying his support is, quote, unwavering for the president and his agenda. The controversy comes amid the president's request for $18 billion to build a border wall with Mexico.
So we want the wall.
He is facing resistance from Democrats who want the status of undocumented children addressed first. Senator Bernie Sanders.
77% of the American people in a recent poll suggested that they wanted to see legal status for these young people. The American people, in fact, do not want to spend billions of dollars on a wall.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton.
But if the Democrats want to shut down the government because they can't get amnesty for illegal immigrants, then they're going to have to defend those actions to the American people.
Errol Barnett, CBS News, the White House.
U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley says President Trump's tweet warning North Korean leader Kim Jong-un about U.S. nuclear capabilities helps global security because it keeps Kim, quote, on his toes. Back here in Montana, one dead, another injured in a shooting at a home in Belgrade. MTN's Kenneth Webb has the latest details tonight.
I'm here on the 1300 block of Idaho Street, where one person has died after police responded to reports of gunshots Sunday morning. I spoke with Belgrade Police Chief E.J. Clark in an exclusive interview to find out what happened.
Just before 9 a.m. this morning, we received a call of incident at 1300 block of Idaho Street. Belgrade officers and Gallatin County Sheriff's deputies arrived. We found two individuals that appeared to be injured from gunshot wounds. One of those individuals has passed away. The other one has been taken to the hospital for treatment. Still working on that, waiting to find out what that result's going to be.
According to Chief Clark, the time of this incident is still unknown.
With a homicide scene, it's busy, takes a long time, it's long drawn out. So the officers are working, and that's where we're at right now.
The Belgrade Police Department has a suspect in custody.
Through the officers' efforts, we've come up with a suspect who's in custody, and that aspect's being worked right now, so we feel pretty confident that the public's safe at this point.
MTN News was there as the body was being wheeled out from the house and into the coroner's vehicle. The victims and the suspect have not yet been identified. Chief Clark also mentions that, as we all know, these are difficult cases and take a great deal of time and effort to investigate correctly. Please avoid the area of Idaho Street and allow the officers to do their work. This homicide investigation is ongoing. We will continue to update this story as we learn more information. Reporting from Belgrade, Kenneth Webb, MTN News.
We'll have more information both on air and online. In other news tonight, the man suspected of murdering his ex-wife in Wyoming will face charges tomorrow. Police in Lovell, Wyoming found the body of 49-year-old Carol Barnes on Thursday in a home on West 7th Street after family asked for them to check on her. Authorities later tracked down and arrested 48-year-old Donald Kraus, 230 miles away in Mills, Wyoming. Kraus now faces first-degree murder charges in Bighorn County and will have his initial hearing tomorrow. Both of the individuals had divorced previously. They were not together. Officials completed an autopsy on Barnes, and the report was submitted to law enforcement. Back here in Montana, an earthquake shook the area near Lincoln this afternoon. There were no reports of injuries or major damage. Quake initially was measured by the U.S. Geological Survey as a magnitude 3.6, but was later upgraded to magnitude 3.9. Again, it happened around a little bit after noon today. Quake was centered about 6.7 miles southwest of Lincoln, about 41 miles west-northwest of the state capital. We go to weather. The deep freeze continues for a large portion of the country, breaking records and creating problems for millions of people in the Northeast. Laura Podesta reports from the sub-freezing streets of New York.
Temperatures in the Northeast have hit record lows.
With wind chills possibly down to 45 below zero.
Burlington, Vermont dipped to -20 Sunday morning, just beating the city's old record of -19 set in 1923. Temperatures were below zero overnight in Boston as firefighters battled fierce flames. Ice encased almost everything when the fire was out. Airports are trying to get back on track after several days of cancellations. But a water main break Sunday at New York's JFK caused a new round of delays.
There's the obvious question, why? How did it come that that pipe was not adequately protected?
Michael Morris has been waiting for a flight since Saturday.
I just want to make sure I can get on the flight tonight.
Are you frustrated, annoyed?
You know what? I'm not that kind of a person. I'm annoyed, but not frustrated.
The good news is this bitterly cold air is set to push out by Monday, when temperatures in New York and the surrounding area will return to a more seasonable but still chilly low 30s.
Compared to this, it's going to feel balmy.
Tropical.
Tropical, yep.
The Midwest is already on its way to a warm-up. The temperature topped 30 degrees in Chicago Sunday, but it may take days before all the ice from a broken water pipe gets a chance to melt. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
The temperature registered -37 Saturday at the Mount Washington Observatory in New Hampshire, one of the coldest places on the planet. The wind chill was -93, tied with Armstrong, Ontario, as the second coldest spot in the world. In Montana, the weather in western side of the state collapsed an elementary roof in Polson. This was the scene last night. And due to the weight of the melting ice and snow, the roof at Linderman Elementary partially collapsed over the gym and locker room area. Fortunately, no one was inside at the time. No reports of injuries. It's unknown what the school will do for school tomorrow. Go to our own weather scene. It's the tale of two sides of the country, two sides of Montana even, because it's much milder here, Brett, but we're headed for a change again.
Yeah, we got another change as we look towards the middle of the week, but we had a nice day today. Hopefully you got outside and enjoyed it. Let's take a look at the almanac and show you we saw a daytime high today of 43 degrees. Our overnight low was 33. We were 7 degrees warmer than our average high for this time of year. The overnight low fell to 17. Record high 60 degrees set back in 1954, minus 30 degrees set back way back in 1937. No precipitation to speak of yet this year, but that is going to change as we look at Tuesday night into Wednesday. We're going to come back, have your complete forecast in just a couple of minutes.
All right, Brett, thank you very much. To education news, the University of Montana is headed in a new direction. The office of recently appointed UM President Seth Bodner released a statement last week via email, and in that press release, he laid out priorities and talked about the importance of communication. Bodner laid out the four main points in the email. First, he says he wants to explore ways to keep UM on the cutting edge by focusing on the strengths that UM already has. Secondly, he emphasized running a tight ship. Limited resources, he stressed being as efficient and focused as possible. Thirdly, he wants to build a supportive community at UM to cherish diversity and to create a safe environment for everyone. And finally, above all else, Bodner says he wants to raise enrollment and retain students until graduation. He had a quote, "As I continue to build upon my own understanding of our community, I look forward to meeting many of you on campus and across the state. We'll engage our community not only through in-person meetings, but also via social media, on Twitter, and will periodically share blog posts. I look forward to your thoughts and feedback." Currently, Bodner and interim President Sheila Stearns are serving while the transitions happen with presidencies. In Billings, a downtown co-op that shut its doors in the fall will hold an auction for remaining items. That auction for the Good Earth Market Co-op is set for January 18th at 10 a.m. Back in October, you might remember, members voted to dissolve the co-op, which had debts of more than $500,000 at mid-month and assets of about $150,000. The Good Earth Market Co-op had been open for 23 years in the Billings community. Before we go to break, an 11-year-old boy from Dutton, Montana, is headed to San Diego with his family through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Levi Wall was diagnosed with a rare condition, but his official diagnosis is still not known. He has vision and hearing problems, and as a result of the disease, he's fought it since he was a baby. Levi, his parents, and siblings will stay in a condo in San Diego and also visit Legoland, the San Diego Zoo, and the beach. During the trip reveal party today at the Pit Stop Tavern, Levi's parents said they were thankful and overwhelmed by all the support.
We've gone on a family holiday or vacation. It's all wrapped around going to the doctor and getting surgery or looking for a diagnosis. So we've never really just had a family trip where we just went and were together and could just be a family and enjoy each other. So that is pretty amazing and overwhelming.
Great weather down there, too. Levi and his family leave on Wednesday. To learn more about the trip and make a wish, you can visit us online. Still ahead on the Sunday edition of the Q2 10 o'clock news, a rancher with the right stuff. If you want to stick around to hear more about this Montana astronaut farmer. Plus, we begin with new episodes in Under the Big Sky with some manufacturers you may be familiar with. Later in sports, it was the doubleheader of the year. Can't stress it enough. And one of the shots of the year so far in 2018. We'll hear from Hardin's girls and on how it all happened.